Here in Sydney, we all take it for granted, our great harbour. But could it be becoming increasingly less inhabited and abundant in marine life? Claims have been made that the New South Wales Government Office of Environment and Heritage are to release details of a case study regarding a sea urchin explosion in Sydney Harbour. Some think it to be blasphemy that our harbour could become barren, but if we do not do something, it could be. In Sydney Harbour, the amount of sea urchins are rising, and this can have devastating effects on the ecosystem. A sea urchin is a marine echinoderm which has a spherical or flattened shell covered in mobile spines, with a mouth on the underside and a calcareous jaw. Sea urchins consume kelp, which is a large brown seaweed that typically has a long, tough stalk, with a broad frond divided into strips. Kelp forests are the natural habitat for multiple marine organisms, and a lack of kelp can affect many species and cause urchin barrens, as seen here. In this diagram, you can see how the consumption of kelp can affect many organisms in the marine ecosystem. It also displays how the removal of one of the species can affect all other species. Fishing has affected the ecosystem in Sydney Harbour because it disrupts the ecological balance through the lack of certain fish which eat the sea urchins, and without these, sea urchin populations can thrive. This cycle continues because when the kelp is eaten, small fish have nowhere to live and are now easily consumed. Joel McGuinness is a local resident and fisherman.
Yeah, so I've been coming down here for the last 10 years or so, and it's only recently that I've started noticing changes in what's been going on in the water. I usually get a couple of nice big fish, but especially more recently, the last couple of weeks, I've been noticing a big change in the amount of small fish, and honestly, I don't know what we can do to improve it.
Over the past few years, a decline in the amount of kelp and a rise in the number of sea urchins has had an evident effect around the Sydney Harbour region. Precautions have been taken to minimise any further effects this could have, but unnecessary overfishing is still a significant problem. As a result of this unnecessary fishing, the amount of predators that consume sea urchins have been lowered, causing a rise in sea urchin numbers and a fall in kelp, thus meaning less breeding, hiding and residential space for fish. It is a vicious cycle.
A similar circumstance to this occurred in the Aleutian Islands in the 1990s. Professor Mark Larkos has been studying sea urchin behaviour in other parts of the world, including the Aleutian Islands.
With sea otters absent, dense sea urchin populations overgrazed on kelp. During the 1990s, rapid decline in sea otter population caused a state shift in the region, resulting in much of the nearshore ecosystem being dominated by the sea urchin barrens and largely devoid of kelp.
But is this problem really as bad as we think? Some believe that Sydney Harbour is actually in a state of recovery, and that the worst is past us. It was said that in 2010, the area was at its worst, full of sea urchin barrens, which are areas of reef devoid of kelp and dominated by encrusting coralline algae, with an abundance of sea urchins. If this is so, we must monitor the area and keep a very close record of all the changes in the ecosystem, so as to not cause the area to have a reverse in its rehabilitation. Also, as done in the Aleutian Islands, the predominant predators of the sea urchins must be watched. Because of their feeding habits, sea otters act as keystone species in the kelp forests of the Aleutian Islands. Keystone species are features of an ecosystem that are essential in maintaining its balance, and one of these must be found in Sydney to maintain the ecological balance of the harbour. Also, if the situation were to worsen, we may have to issue bans on recreational fishing of certain species in order to maintain the ecosystem. After all, that is the most important thing. For more information on this matter, visit our website or contact us on Facebook.